Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Be Bold Out Loud. As you know, I am Dr. Michelle. I am your confidence coach, and I love doing Be Bold Out Loud because this is the space where we get to talk about how you can begin to be bold, how you can break through obstacles to lead in your destiny. And I always have amazing guests who talk about their own experience and give us great tips on what we can do to start to move the needle forward in our lives. So, especially to my women who are trying to promote, change your career, start your own business, be a consultant, whatever it is you want to do, I want you to break through so that you can be bold out loud in the space where you are called to be. As you know, I am a full time professor and Christian female social worker. So, for my Christian female social workers, I want you to know that I would love for you to reach out to me so that we can work together and I can support you in moving forward in your plans and goals. So we're all going to move forward, be bold out loud, elevate into who God has designed us to be. So I am so excited today because actually today I have an old friend, but she is doing amazing things. So I'm going to bring to the stage Mrs. Nicole Clement. Hello,
Hello,
Nicole.
Michelle. It's
I
so
am
good
so
to
glad.
see you.
It's good to see you. And we, like I said, long time. We've known each other a long time,
A very long time.
but it's so good. It's so good to see you in this space today. And you now have your LCSW and you have certifications for trauma work, which is absolutely amazing. And I know a lot of our guests will be able to relate to that, a lot of our listeners. So before we start, though, I want to read this amazing bio that you sent over just to tell a little bit of your story. And then in our conversation, we'll get to go deeper. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is Nicole's bio. From stumbling into social work later in life to becoming a licensed clinical social worker and certified trauma therapist, my journey has been one of resilience and determination. It all started with a dream I didn't even know I had until I saw it unfold before me. Despite facing adversity and setbacks, I pursued my education with unwavering focus. Graduating from Hopkinsville Community College, Austin Peay State University, and Western Kentucky University wasn't just about earning degrees. It was about embracing my calling to empower trauma survivors. Through 4,000 clinical hours and intense certification processes, I equipped myself with the tools to make a difference. My mission is clear: to empower others to restore their well being and confidence. As a woman, I understand the unique challenges we face, especially in overcoming trauma. I've walked through rejection, abandonment, and self doubt, but I refuse to let those define me. Today, as a dynamic speaker, licensed clinical social worker, and trauma disruptor, I share my story of resilience and hope. I challenge you to push beyond your limitations, to believe in your own strength, and to know that you are always enough. With her private practice and the organization she found, Bridge to Restoration, Nicole has continued to serve vulnerable populations, equipping them with the tools to overcome adversity and thrive. As a devoted wife to her supportive husband, Roy, and mother of four amazing adult children, they remind her every day of the importance of love, strength, and resilience. I absolutely love this because I know that many of the listeners that we have are in this space or wanting to continue forward with their education, but they may feel stuck. They may be dealing with rejection, abandonment, and self doubt, as you talked about. So let me be quiet. I want to hear from you. Just give us just the big picture of what you have shared with us here in this bio.
Well, when I say I stumbled into social work, Michelle, I literally stumbled into social work. And as we stated earlier, and by the way, thank you for inviting me. I am
Absolutely.
so honored. I feel so honored. But when I say I stumbled into social work, it was just that. Um, you know, growing up in the good old Baptist church,
Mhm.
we were taught to be that helpmate. right? So that was my primary focus. So I didn't have a dream for myself. I had a dream for my mate, whoever that would be, and I had a dream for my children, but I never had a dream for myself. So I was focused on making sure their dreams was a reality. So I knew what I brought to the table for them. I just didn't know what I brought to the table for myself.
Wow, 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 wow. So when you stumbled in and you found out what this profession offered and how you could serve people through the profession, tell me about the light bulb moment when it all came to understanding.
The light bulb moment for me, I have to admit, began my first day in a social work class.
Mhm,
I was sitting in this class and I was waiting for the professor. It was a maybe 15 or 20 students in there. We were all waiting for the professor to come in. Some old, only a few of us that was older. But
mhm,
you knew that some of the students knew each other in the class because you had some in the corner and they were talking, and then you had others, such as myself, sitting there patiently waiting. And the professor walks in the room and she says, "Good morning." And I'm saying, okay, it's going to be one of them mornings. So nobody really said anything, but she stopped and she was intentional and she looked and she said, "I said, good morning, class." And we were like, "Good morning." And she proceeded and she's telling us about the syllabus, and she's telling us, what her expectations are. And so, sitting in this social work 101 class, I would say a third of the way through the class, she began to speak about something that I had never heard of before. And now I am intensely listening to her. I'm so intense, Michelle, that I don't even realize that a tear has just fell down my face. And then I wipe my face and another tear's falling down. And then another tear's falling down until I can't control the tears. They're just rolling. And she made eye contact with me. And when she looked at me, she went ahead and she gave the other students something to do. And she came over to me and she ushered me out of the classroom. So we get in the hallway and she says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." I said, "I didn't know. I didn't know I was abandoned. You just put language to what I experienced and I didn't know it." And I just continued to cry. I couldn't even control it because I didn't have language to know that I actually had experienced it, because I just went on with life as if nothing ever happened. And we as women, we do that. We do it so well. We will experience something and just compartmentalize it and move on like nothing ever happened. And at a young age, at 10 years old, I learned to do that because of my mother. I watched her do it. And so I always ask like my clients, how easy is it for them to compartmentalize and just move on? But the problem with doing that, all you're doing is waiting for that seed to sprout. And so my aha moment, as you called it, was sitting in my first social work class and realized that I had been abandoned, and that was something I needed to address. That was the beginning of my therapy that I didn't even know I needed.
And I love that you share that because one of the things I say to my students is this is not just a professional journey, this is a personal journey. When you are moving into serving others, you first have to deal with you and
Yeah.
everything that comes with it. So, ooh, that's powerful. That's so powerful. Um, so when you think about, so when I talk about bold, as you heard, I'm talking about breaking through the obstacles to lead in our destiny, which is exactly what you're doing. So when you talk about or think about breakthrough, I know working with trauma victims and survivors that there are breakthrough moments, but what does breakthrough look like for you and to you as you work with your clients?
Breakthrough for me looks like I'm a big advocate when it comes to journaling because
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that you can't get to know yourself without journaling because journaling allows you to learn your patterns of behavior. And learning those patterns of behavior, you begin to understand where you need to set those boundaries. Because I believe boundaries aren't for other people, boundaries are designed to protect yourself. Because if I'm the type of person who gets easily attached, the question is, where do I need to set a boundary? If I'm a people pleaser, where do I need to set a boundary? It's about knowing where to set those boundaries so that when you're making decisions, you are making the right decisions that's in your best interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only way to get a breakthrough is by getting to know yourself. You know you better than anybody else through journaling. And that's where it started for me.
That's good. And you said you know you, and I feel like there's so many women that don't know themselves. They don't know who they are, kind of like what you were sharing. They don't realize some of the things that they've gone through, like that abandonment, like that rejection. They don't realize it. We just, and I say this all the time because of the nature of who we are. We're wives, we're parents. We just keep pushing. We just keep pushing. And we're always pushing our kids forward, to our own detriment because we don't stop to really, as you said, know who we are and follow our dreams. Follow and not even just the dream, the purpose that's so deep within us that
Mhm.
God actually, He put it there, but we've kind of just suppressed it because we're so busy doing, and not, as you said, setting the right boundaries, setting the
Right.
boundaries. So that's so good. Um, as you went through your own experience of this healing journey, is what I would call it, is there a specific example or story that you can share with the listeners about just what you did to actually break through an obstacle in your life? There are numerous obstacles I know that we all face, but is there a particular scenario or story that you can share to help them just see what it takes to actually push through?
What I would have to say it was um, the narrative that I walked away with when I realized uh, the narrative that I walked away with after becoming pregnant at the age of 17. Because at that time, I felt rejected, right? I already had felt abandoned, and now I'm being rejected because I became pregnant during that time, um, unwed, right? So we know that if you're unwed and you're underage and you're not married, so you're pregnant, then that's going to cause a lot of problems for you. So the narrative that I walked away with was that I was no longer a benefit to myself, but I was only a benefit to others, meaning my mate or my children. And so in my mind, I believe that I could make my husband's dreams a reality. I could make my children's dreams a reality. But hindsight makes us a genius, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I always was mindful of was closed doors and open doors. And the closed doors I realized were the doors based on the things that I had in mind. And the open doors was the direction that God was trying to send me. But I couldn't see that. I just kept seeing that I know I'm supposed to be married and I know I'm supposed to make his dream a reality because I know what I bring to the table. But it wasn't his plan. because I was putting myself on the back burner, which is what we do, to do things for everybody else except for ourselves. And so for me, I had to come to the realization that what I had in mind was not God's plan for my life. And so I get to the point now where my husband, Roy, I had to risk losing him because I was determined to stay focused on the goal and the dream that I had. Because even God knew, He know me better than anybody, that if I get married, I'm going to hyper focus on him and not on myself. And so risk losing him. If he walked through the door and it closed, then he wasn't for me. But if he stayed, then he would understand and he was for me. Thank God he stayed, but my focus was on my education and I was determined and he knew it. And I said, I can't do this. I can't be in a relationship like this until I reach my goals and dreams. And so that was, I would say that one of many obstacles, but because I knew I was designed to be a wife, that was an obstacle for me because I knew I also needed to focus on myself because all the other times that I tried, it didn't play out that way. And again, it's about getting to know yourself. And because I had to get to know myself and realize you'll hyper focus on it.
And it's beautiful that you said you knew you were designed to be a wife. But the other part of that is you also were designed to be this clinical social worker that so many people need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. We as you said, hyper focus on one thing, and God has many things for us. You know, there's many people that He's called us to reach and to serve. And so I love that you took the risk in order for him to help you see what else you were designed for, that you weren't just designed for that one thing. And that risk taking, I think that that's a key point, because going back to what you said about boundaries, a lot of times for women, that's a risk for us because we're afraid of losing people, being rejected, being abandoned. We're afraid of all those things. And so we don't take the risk
Mm-hmm.
because it feels safer in our comfort zone of, well, at least I'll always have this person and I'll always have this. And the reality is, when you take the risk, just like you did, it's so much bigger than you could ever thought because you even said that your journey started with a dream you didn't even know you had.
I
you
did.
know, yes.
And I'm
So,
still stumbling into it. And it's so interesting because although I'm in private practice, I'm creating, I got this business coach and we're going through things. And it's like more and more stuff come out of you. It's like you don't know what's inside of you until you get with the right people.
hmm, amen. That's right. That's right. So I love that, that obstacle didn't become an obstacle that kept you from fulfilling what God had for you. And so I want to shift a little bit and talk about how we lead our own lives into our destiny. And destiny for me, as I think about destiny, it is not the it's the end goal, but it's not the end goal. It's the end goal, but so much of the learning, growing happens on the journey, trying to get there. And once you get there, there's more, right? And so when I talk about destiny, it's really kind of this ongoing place that we're trying to get to because we're willing to learn through our journey. We're willing to grow as we go there. So when you think about leading your life to be able to get to destiny, what are some things that you would say to the listeners about being able to lead so that they can enjoy this journey and grow through this journey?
I would say the first thing is you have to get to know yourself. And like you stated, destiny is not a destination. I look at it as the journey of self discovery.
Mm, yes.
And along that journey, you have to have the flexibility and the openness to know what direction you need to take, when you might need to take a pivot, when you might need to stop, when you need to move forward. Because if you maintain your focus and you become hyper focused, like I know I can be, on doing it one way, then I can miss opportunities, miss nuggets along the way. And so, in getting to know yourself, you learn where to set those boundaries because you know you. You have to know you. That is the biggest thing that I really encourage my clients is to really get to know you. And in getting to know you, you build your own confidence. You encourage yourself that way. Without knowing who you are, you can't encourage yourself. You don't even have the confidence in knowing that, okay, I made this decision and it might not have been the right decision, but I made it. And so you just keep going. But I would say the biggest thing is really getting to know yourself and staying true to who you are, being your authentic self, um, as you get on that journey of self discovery. And the last thing is staying connected to God
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
because He will reveal all things if you're in tune to Him.
And what's the first thing we do when things get hard? We stop praying. We stop reading the word.
And that is the first thing He wants you to do. That's the main thing He wants you to do
Right.
is
Right.
call out to Him. And there's so many different ways in which you can pray and talk to God. It's not just standing, getting on your knees and talking to Him. My time with God is in the shower.
Hmm. Hmm.
I used to have music playing, but now it's like I want to hear the quietness and the water and just hear Him. What direction am I taking today? Is this a good direction? Is this a good choice I should be making today? If I'm not in the shower and it's a rainy day, like it look like it's gonna be a rainy day, I sit in my sunroom and just listen to the water. You just have to find your way. There's no one way. It's doing it your way that works for you. And that's part of getting to know yourself because you're not pulled by what somebody else said you should do and how they say you should do it. And that was the biggest obstacle for me. One another obstacle for me is doing it the way others said I should do it.
I love that you shared that because for me, I feel like I kind of fell into my life too. I do. I say that I was like, I kind of stumbled into my life. Um, and a lot of it was because I had this mindset that, oh, well, I'm this age, so I need to go to school. Now I'm this age, so I need to get married. Now I'm this age, so I need to have kids. And it was like, I got lost, right? I got lost in all that. And thanks be to God that He, just like you, He brings us back to the path He set for us.
Hmm.
But I'm hoping, my hope is that as women listen to these opportunities I have to speak with women like yourself, that they will have that wake up call, that self awareness will come, and they will realize that there is something inside of them that God is trying to get out.
Hmm.
And that if you would, like you said, become more self aware, know who you are, He will show it to you. He
Yes.
will absolutely show it to you. because as I stumbled into my life, I was like, oh, I was like, that's a gift. That's a gift that God's given me to be able to do that. But I never saw it in myself because we really get caught in the chaos, right, of our lives. Because um, I, as a daughter of a alcoholic father, as a daughter who felt all of those things like the abandonment and the rejection, and always trying to people please and be this perfectionist and just get it all right because I wanted to be loved. All of that was chaos.
Mm-hmm.
That was just distracting me from the purpose that God has for us. So I hope today that as women listen to this, that it'll be a wake up call and an aha moment that you might be living in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And God is really trying to push you to something more. He's trying to get you to what He's designed you for. So you said self awareness, being our authentic self, and really remaining connected to Him. And I love how you said, do it your way. How are you connecting with Him? It doesn't have to be the way that somebody else says, it needs to be the way that you connect with Him. And so I absolutely love that. So, you said it very well that, you know, destiny is not a destination, right? It's the journey that we're on. So, is there anything just as we begin to close here that you would say or want to share with the listeners, especially as a trauma therapist and doing the really important work that you do to help women and men? I'm guessing you work with men too, but to
Mm-hmm.
help move beyond those limitations that trauma can really impose upon us. Is there anything else you want to share?
I would say a lot of times we don't realize that we have experienced something traumatic, and it's important um, that people really seek out a therapist, right? Because I didn't know that I had experienced trauma. Um, it just became easy for me to compartmentalize and move on, which is what we as women do, right? So, one of the questions that I always challenge my clients is when they say stuff like, this is just who I am, or I've always been like this. And so the challenge is it? Is who you have become really who you were meant to be? And if you can answer that question truthfully, then okay. But in actuality, who you have become is not necessarily the person you were meant to be. And that is where you you should begin to do that work and dig deep and become really self-aware as to who you are. Michelle Obama wrote the book Becoming. Why did she name it that? Because she realized that who she had become was not who she was meant to be. And if we would just really look at that thing and try to understand, why do I respond that way? Why do I behave this way? It's a pattern that we've developed, and we really need to be mindful of it. And so I really challenge individuals to really ask themselves that question: is who I have become really who I was meant to be?
That's a great, great question. Well, I know that people are going to want to connect with you. So, can you tell people how to get in touch with you?
I'm on social media, Nicole Clement Speaks, and Nicole Clement Speaks on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and my business site, bridgetorestoration.org. I see clients telehealth here in Indiana and in the state of Kentucky. Yes.
Well, I am so excited because, as I said, this is my old friend. But more than that, she is a phenomenal, phenomenal therapist and obviously has given us such great wisdom today. So, Nicole, thank you so much for being with us today. I really, really appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me. It was such an honor.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you all for joining today. Man, I am really just so overjoyed with the powerful nuggets of wisdom that have been shared today. And if you haven't heard anything else, recognize that we have to be self aware, that we have to be authentic, and that we have to stay connected to our Heavenly Father because He is the one that has designed you for a specific purpose. And as you heard in Nicole's story, she had one purpose in mind, and yes, she was designed for that, but she was designed and is designed for so much more, and that is to serve other women and men who are dealing with trauma and who don't necessarily recognize it. So it's time to be bold out loud. It's time to break through the obstacles so that you can lead in your destiny. Again, I am Dr. Michelle Wells, and I too am here to assist you in any way that I can to help you to break through so that you can be all that you're designed to be. Do you want to change your career? Do you want to start your own business? Do you want to serve others in a different way? If so, please reach out to me at www.drmichellewells.com. All right. Thanks again for being here on Be Bold Out Loud, and we will see you on the next occasion. Have a great day.